Today is the 13th day of February 2014, and I'm very happy to have a dear friend joining us tonight, Arun Vaidya. Welcome, Arun.
It's a pleasure and honor to be here. Narad, there are very few people that I would want to talk about the things that I will be. It is because of you, and I hope this privilege and honor lives up to your expectations.
I'm sure it will. As you know, I knew your mother many years ago.
Yes.
When did you first hear of Sri Aurobindo and mother?
Oh, in a very early age, long before I was 10 years old. In fact, the most crucial thing of my life happened around the age of 8 in a dialogue with mother, and I will talk about that little later appropriately. But mother has been part of my world from the day one.
When did you first come to the ashram?
I used to come as a child with my parents, so I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I've been coming more than 55 years to ashram.
I see.
When I was in India until the year 69, it was whenever they came, I came. When I went to USA, I would come every 3 or 4 years interval regularly.
Do you remember the first time you saw mother?
Yes, indeed.
Could you tell us about that? And how old were you, approximately?
I would say I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I had come with my sister and we visited mother at that time. I had drawn a painting of a flower which I gave to her, and she engaged in talk that I was absolutely beyond any description of joy. Smilingly, she asked me, "Is it for me?" I say, "Yes, mother, I did it just for you." I don't know what else to say, but that was the fact, and that is how it came as a natural response. And then I did my pranam, she blessed me, and we stayed there for a while. I did not want to take up her time and did not want to waste her time in trivial talk kind of a thing. So respectfully we stayed for a while and then we departed. But later on, again in 69 of August, before Darshan Day, that was my second visit. At that time I was with my fiancé. We had come for mother's blessings. And this ring that I am wearing is my engagement ring that mother blessed us. And having come before, I was little more at ease. I did not do chit-chat kind of a talk, but I certainly took a liberty of bowing down and leaving my head in front of her. I didn't want to touch her feet, which I wanted very, very much. I didn't want to put my head on her lap either, because I thought one should never intrude in the divine space like that. So I just kept my head bowed down to her. She put her hands over my head. That actually makes me sometimes think that my head is the most precious thing I have, not because it is my head, but because mother put her hands on them.
When did you finally come to reside in the ashram?
About 5 years back, after I had my problems with heart. I had an episode of heart attack, and it did not become a heart attack because very quickly I was taken care of medically, and all the consequences of damage to heart were prevented. However, I have 3 stents around my heart to make me normal and function as much as one could.
What work are you doing here now?
Primarily writing articles for Advent magazine. I've been doing it ever since I came, I would say, in 2009, but year after that. And Samirda was the one who encouraged me to write. I came to know later on through the people that he talked about me, how happy he was that I had now come and contribute to Advent. That is a real honor to hear.
I want to go into your remembrances of the older sadhaks a little later, but first I'd like to ask you to tell the world something about your wonderful experiences in the Om choir. You have written so much about that.
Yes, just like this particular interview, my participation began primarily because of you, Narad. It is your presence, your manner of making things which are almost impossible into a easy reality, but the reality that takes us to a level beyond our wildest imagination. The very first session that I attended, following your simple instructions, just being calm, just chanting with the heart and soul in it, to my amazement, I started experiencing things that I could not have even mentally thought about. It was like a moment of the creation, and I am just happened to be part of it and witnessing it. What a remarkable starting, and subsequent to that, many unexpected experiences just came, and that is what I consider grace and the miracle that you made it possible for world to not just know intellectually, but experience through their heart and through their psychic, and it goes through every pore of the being. So thank you for that.
Thank you. You, of course, have known some of the older and beloved disciples of Mother and Sri Aurobindo.
Yes.
Would you share some memories of some of them?
Yes, indeed. That is one of the most deservingly or not beginning of my encounter and regularly thinking of being at ashram. Years ago it started with Satu Baba or Satyendrada. I called him Satu Baba through the family ties, and remarkable as it is, he used to give hug. Human touch, when it is conveyed through somebody such as him, really uplifts you beyond your wildest imagination. So sweet, so gentle, so deep. That was the joy. And then I have a treat from Taraben with some juice and things like that. Next, I would like to say Parichanda. I was in USA, and during those early days of my stay, I used to send Parichanda seeds. And every year I look forward to his letter making a list of flower seeds that he would like me to arrange to come to ashram. And that was the thing I found so joyful, so fulfilling, and that just continued over the time. Even though we were far apart distance-wise, I could sense when he was sending a list he was sending a kind of a love and affection that one can feel as close as we are sitting. The distance just vanished, kind. I have a gift from him, if I could share with you.
Certainly, certainly. He was, for me also,
Yes.
one of the great souls here.
Yes, indeed.
And we could go to him with all kinds of problems and we would walk out with joy.
That's right. Absolutely.
And he would only talk of Mother.
Yes. One day, he told my mother, look at the flowers. Arun is smiling. And my mother was totally dumbfounded. I have come across a handful of people in my life, which I don't know how it happened, but they could know me more than I have known myself. And I always believed that I am the expert in one field, and that is myself. But these people knew a lot more of me, not just about me. Parichanda gave me something which I could never imagine to possess. A book that was given to him by the mother, to Parichan, with blessings, 30/10/1952, and the signature of the mother. This is Letters of Sri Aurobindo. The content, of course, makes it a great book to have, but coming the way it came to me, this is my treasure. I used to also send a lot of organic farming related research work to Dumanbai. And no matter how busy he is, he's the only one I corresponded my prayers. Very brief, but I did. Even though later on I did come to know Nalinida, Nirodha, and many others, but the person that I conveyed my aspirations and prayers was Dumanbai. And Gloria Farm, all the things that I had chance with my mother to be part of his dream converting into a practical reality for ashram to become self-sufficient was a joy. I also learned from Dumanbai, serving mother is not a 1 minute or 1 hour or one life. It is constant and continuous contribution of everything that you have. I did try to read a lot of work of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, but the things that I learned from some of these sadhaks were of the most important and direct learning experiences. This is what I consider being blessed. My best friend or my dearest friend used to tell me, Arun, you are so fortunate, you go to such spiritual places like Pondicherry Ashram and all those high spiritual things. And I used to tell her, for me, the most important experience that I find is coming in touch with some of the sadhaks who give their love, who are the true representative of divine. For me, to find divine in person. Of course, I had a chance to have Mother's blessings twice, but that doesn't happen every day. Whereas these encounters were so wonderful and so commonly available that I can't imagine. How can one deserve such things?
We would love to hear about your memories of Nolinida.
Nalinida knew, I would say, more than I could ever know myself, even now. And some of the encounters and dialogues that took place, I don't know how to say, but if it weren't for him, some of the things about me, maybe I would have known, but how long it would have taken, I don't know. He knew me, for example. One day he asked me how long I'm going to be here. I used to come from USA, stay here for a week or 10 days, and then depart. That was like a coffee table dialogue. One day I am heading from Samadhi to meditation hall. Somebody taps me on the shoulder, I turn back, and that is where Nalinida is. And he says, "Oh, so you are living on such a date." I was totally taken aback. I didn't think that he would remember the date so exactly. I simply responded to him, "But I will be back." With a twinkle in his eyes, he looks at me and says, "I know." Little did I know the significance of that "I know" at that instant. It is years later I realized he knew of my destiny, he knew of my future, he knew of my soul's hankering, which I knew, but I had never verbalized, never crystallized in expression, but he knew it. One day I had complained to him in a manner of not a criticism, but an expression. People say, "Mother is no more here." And I told him, I grew up in Bombay. Then I went to America. And yet I have never felt mother is not there. She is always available. And also if I close my eyes and want to be at Samadhi, I find myself at Samadhi. Nalinida said something such as, "I have seen you." Again, at that instant, I didn't recognize what it meant. Anybody can see me when I am at Samadhi. He was not referring to that. I have no clue how from America, when I want to be at Samadhi, I could be at Samadhi at my will, and my subtle body is there that he could see. I have no idea how I do it or how can it be even done. But he knew more about me than I did. Just one of those examples. I used to ask him about Nachiketa. I used to ask him about some of the other ancient souls. I asked him, how can one meet them? How can one find direct contact with them? And we talked. He even mentioned about one of his books, which was in 73 that was published, but I must have left by the time it was to have come to me and I missed it. But after 40 years, I have that book in front of me now. The one that was meant for me came from him.
40 years later.
Yes.
Tell us how it was given to you, how it was returned to you.
One day I got a call from Ravi from our school, and he inquired about a book called Six Talks. What do you know about that, Arun? I said, well, it's a great book. It was very important to me years ago. And it was the book that we talked about when I met Nalinida. He said, well, would you believe? I have that book in front of me and it has your name on it. I don't know how to describe how happy and how surprised I was, and how I am a proud owner of it.
And the inscription is so beautiful and powerful at the same time.
Yes, I will share one secret. It is very sacred, very, very precious. Nalinida has been guardian angel to me. Many things that he talked as if he was charting my path for the future, as if he was clearing the present for the future, showing me the sign and signal of the things to come. And one thing that he asked repeatedly, which for some reason I did not respond. Question was, do you know where you are? The question was in the context of the levels of consciousness, from mind to higher mind to illumined mind, intuitive mind, overmind, and supramental. I chose not to answer that. I never explained to him why I am avoiding answering. And he put up with me and my idiosyncrasies. But he told me, there are people around you that are at different levels. You know that. I said, yes, of course, that I know. The reason I would share with you now, and this is an answer to you, Nalinida, pardon me for taking so long to respond. I always thought or wished and prayed that as a stardust, I will find a place at their feet. And for me, that is where I am, that is where I want to be, that is where I belong. Overmind, supramental mind, those were of inconsequential to me, and that I could not verbalize, that I could not articulate, that I could not convey. But now I am saying it.
May we know something of these photos that you have?
Yes, this is the photograph taken in 70s. That includes Nalinida, Samita, or Anjuda as is popularly known in ashram, my father and myself. Last year, I got it from Samita, and he told me, Arun, for years together I have taken care of it. Now I am giving it to you. You take care of it. I was just thrilled. And then within a month, he passed away. This was his parting gift out of so much love and affection, giving me something that was a past, making into the present as a bridge to the future. Thank you. Thank you, Samirda.
You had a long and beautiful relationship with Amal.
Yes.
Please tell us about that.
Amal is so talented, so knowledgeable, so spectacular in philosophy, science, spirituality. I was reading Mother India. Every word, I would look forward to receiving it every month. So I was very glad when I came to Pondicherry, and at one time I was introduced to him. And I asked him, could I come again? He said, yes, of course. And so I became a regular visitor every time I came to ashram. And our interaction became more and more robust, more and more involved. We talked about so many different topics. And then one day he told me, Arun, I want you to give me a promise. I was surprised to hear that. I asked him, but Amal, what kind of a promise and why do you need a promise? All you need to do is to tell me, Arun, do this, or I want this. He said, no, I want promise first. So I said, yes, indeed. What he asked was amazing. He said, when you come to ashram, you visit me. Every time you come to ashram, you visit me. I said, that is what I always wanted. That is what I would love to do it. But if that is how you want as a promise, that is what you have. He said, Arun, you have no idea how much joy it brings to me when you are with me. It is so refreshing to me. It is so invigorating to me. And I was simply stunned. Our relation grew over the time, and you might wonder, how come I am not addressing him or referring to him as Amalda, as most of the people would do? He said, Arun, I am Amal. And for me, that was the way I referred to him. Our relation grew from a formal and cordial relation to of a kind of a periscope, telescope, whatever, that he could probe through them me and known of me, that he expressed in his way that is only Amal capable of. He gave me some of his books. This is one of them. This is one of the earlier books that I received from him. And there he says,
cordially to Arun from K.D. Setna, 7/7/1983.
And then our interaction became more and more intimate. At one time while talking, he stopped and he said, oh, Arun, my memory is not as good as it used to be. We were talking about La Miserable, and he was describing about the passageway for the escape, and that is when he paused and made that comment. I said to Amal, Amal, you are 95 plus. If I am at half age as you are, with the half memory as what I have, I would consider myself to be very great. But Amal was simply remarkably humble with me. And this is another book of him that he gave me. These are like a milestone of our growing relation.
And this one says, to fascinating, myriad-minded Arun, with deep affection, K.D. Setna, and it's dated 1994. Tell us about this fascinating myriad-minded term.
That basically got me so surprised that I stared at it. I was wondering whether I'm misreading it. So he asked me, is there a problem? I said, no, you have used a description that is an epithet on Newton's tomb. He said, yes, but it applies here also. As a matter of fact, and coming from Amal, who can argue when he makes a statement?
And this one?
This one he gave me in a subsequent time period. We talked about science and religion and philosophy. This is a book that is his condensation of thoughts, including the letters that he wrote to Einstein about general theory of relativity and special theory of relativity.
he inscribes it affectionately to Arun from Amal Kiran, 27/7/98.
This is culminating part of our relationship. From understanding and characterizing me and revealing myself to me, it came to a level where what he wanted to give me was the love, the most remarkable aspect that I have discovered in life. To find divine, love helps. To learn about truth, love helps. Love unites, and uniting leads to unity. Unity leads to oneness. There is only one truth. Upanishads, Vedas, all of them say the same thing. Love also gives you the sense of reality of yourself and the people with whom you are associated. Love is the grace that divine gave us. And what I found Amal was trying was to pour his affection. I learn about some of these things through such encounters and such treasures that only divine can arrange for a mortal man to receive.
Did Amal ever speak to you about Savitri?
Not specifically in terms of spiritual aspect of it or the dialogue that happened between him and Sri Aurobindo, but we talked about Savitri in a sense. I could tell him that this is the line I interpret as this, and he would look at me and say, okay, that makes sense. Things like that. In one of the articles, I believe it is going to be in the February issue of Advent, which is Divine, Nature and Man, I believe that I have a part of Savitri with my interpretation of some of those lines. And I could be bold enough to express it because I had been through such discussions with Amal before. He could have quite easily said, Arun, you know, I used to have a very high opinion of you, but this is trash. Just hide it away and let nobody ever see it. He didn't say any such things. He was very accommodative, very gentle, and that gave me courage to continue with what the lines conveyed to me, not as words, but as vibrations. And that is how I found the real secret of reading Sri Aurobindo. And this goes back to, if I may sort of go back in little past, during my time in school, high school time, I had ambition and I started with reading Life Divine. Well, my mind used to be very active, and at night I couldn't fall asleep at a regular decent time. I would look at the stars and trees and things of the kind and maybe gradually fall asleep around 1 o'clock or so. When I started reading Life Divine, I could barely read beyond a page. I, at one point, feeling so sad and guilty, talked to Sri Aurobindo in my silent way, apologizing him that I am finding Life Divine as a means to fall asleep. Well, years passed, I went to USA, I had my events of life to attend to, and then one day I picked up Life Divine and I'm reading it. Suddenly, after half an hour, I jump out of my chair and I say, Arun, what is happening? You are not falling asleep. In fact, what was happening was, yes, I was trying to read Life Divine, but I wasn't reading it. I was experiencing it. Every word of life divine was like a part of a wave of a huge ocean of blessings, a blissful blessings. That was the gift Sri Aurobindo gave me. So even though when I apologized to him during my high school time for having Life Divine as a book to fall asleep, and he did not respond, he heard it. I have known from time and time again, they hear whether I verbalize it and talk or I silently think. The prayers, the aspirations, the thoughts always reach them. They may choose not to respond or they may choose to respond, and I am unable to grasp it. But eventually, I do get the message.
Do you have any other books to share with us?
Yes, indeed. This is the last book of Amal that I want to share with you.
Aspects of Sri Aurobindo.
Yes.
Very warmly to Arun's truth-seeking mind and beauty-loving heart, from Amal Kiran, 25/11/95. Here he signs it Amal and not K.D. Sen.
Yes. Because he introduced me himself as Amal, and that is how our relation became that way.
It's very beautiful. His writing is very clear here. Ah yes, Nirodvaran.
I wanted to take a photograph of Nirodha and Amal together, but Amal was in a wheelchair. And when I talked to Dada, he said, I have no problem, Arun, you taking their photograph, but it has to be in the room. Well, Nirodha's room is very small. I couldn't get Amal inside and both of them together. One day, when Amal Kiran came to know that I wanted to take the photograph of them together, he said, what is the problem? Tell Nirod to come to my place and you can take photographs to your heart's content. So this is the photograph of them at Amal Kiran's place.
Yes.
And this is the beauty. These are the people who are truly team of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. To be loved by them and accepted by them as I am, with all my limitations, all my drawbacks, just because there is one thing about me that I know that makes me part of their world, and that is I am truly a sincere human being. Thank God, God at least granted some valuable quality. I'm glad for that benefit.
Well, it's been wonderful visiting with you and seeing you after a long time.
Thank you.
And I know that your words will touch many people, Narad.
Thank you, Narad, for this opportunity. If I may say something as a personal thought,
Yes.
what you are doing right now, these sessions that you are conducting, are so invaluable, so remarkable in touching the human aspect of an individual, but through that human, what they experience, through other humans who are part of the world of divine, and then divine, either mother or Sri Aurobindo, is so remarkable in significance, whether it is now or centuries to come. I will cite one personal thing that I had felt and experienced. May I?
Yes, certainly.
There are three people that I used to meet during my visits to ashram in past. One is Animadi, another one is Ishadi, and the last one is Maggie. I found visiting them and visiting their place like a portal, like a tirtha place as it is known in India in our native language, connecting from earth to the domain which is beyond earth. When I met Ishadi years ago, I found that she changed the apartment few times, and yet 2 times at 2 different places that I met, my experience of visiting her was remarkably identical. And what experience I'm talking about is I could physically feel the presence of Sri Aurobindo with Ishadi. And that physical experience I have never had any place, even when I visited Sri Aurobindo's room. Later on I came to know from Nirodha that in previous life she was Mrinalini Devi. That explains what I felt. It was so unexpected but so real. Those who have known Sri Aurobindo might verify when I say the physical body of Sri Aurobindo was very, very soft. I don't know whether that is physically known to others and experienced that way as I felt, but his presence was unmistakably there. Other place I visited was Maggie. I used to attend the meditation in the afternoon with the group of people who used to come to her place, and we used to sit in front of big photograph of mother. One day during the meditation I opened my eyes, and to my amazement I found Sri Aurobindo. I closed my eyes, I opened my eyes, and again Sri Aurobindo. I'm asking, is it real or am I imagining? No, all through the meditation subsequently Sri Aurobindo was there. And later on when session was over, I talked to Maggie and told her, interesting enough, there is a spot on the photograph of the mother. If you are standing at a distant specific angle, you can see Sri Aurobindo there. And she pointed out that to me, and yes, I could see that. But that is not what I had seen. It is the first time concretely I experienced no distinction between mother and Sri Aurobindo. It was that revelation why I included that as my portal to the domain of the divine. And Animadi, I used to visit her and she used to treat me as a younger brother. At her place, there was a blessing package along with other blessing packages in the center part of the prayer area. That particular blessing package was mother with her feet. One day looking at it, I felt what I expressed in the very beginning, that I am a stardust seeking to be at the feet of the mother. Looking that day at that blessing package, I felt so strongly to belong to that place. Well, I used to visit Bansidhar Pai in the morning, and every time I visited, he would give me a blessing package. That time, when I went to see him in the morning, he told me, Arun, would you come in the afternoon? I said, sure. So he did not give me blessing package as he used to normally. I go in the afternoon to visit him as he had asked me to, and what I see in my hand is the mother standing on a lotus, and those are the feet of the mother, which I always hoped and aspired to belong to. It became a concretized experience of what I had aspired for. In a sense, as I said, whether I think or as we human think, pray, verbalize, in any which way when we communicate, they do respond. And that is the time in which we are living. This is the most precious opportunity to mankind, and I find we are so fortunate that we are born in the time and era when their presence was on earth and guided us through our life efforts. Thanks, Narad, for this golden opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.